I will show you an example of my students. I've been teaching, like Julio said, I've been teaching this topic, for instance, in Italy, at Sardinia, several times, and we had some interesting students, and this is the work. So what I'm now showing, this clip, is actually the work of my Italian students. These 4 young ladies, they were part of the course. There were like 25 students in the course, and in small groups they designed for cultural heritage, like I hope you will be designing the next 3 days, right? And so this is their website, their result. This is what they did. So they designed a tool, an information technology tool, a computerized tool about a dress. And this is the idea. And this is now literally the words of my Italian students. They're Italian, they write in English, their English is not perfect, I didn't change anything. This is just, so this is, the project we are working on is built around the idea of wanting to preserve an ancient memory and at the same time create a way to pass it on to next generations of the family concerned. So it's about a culture of a family, and you know there will be next generations in the family. And the object of the analysis is a Sardinian outfit, a Sardinian dress. A historic Sardinian dress that initially belonged to Margherita Scanu and through the years had been passed from hand to hand to hand until it got to Margherita Casu, one of the 4 students. This young girl inherited a complicated dress from her great-grandmother. And so decided to create an application containing a diary of what happened to the costume. A diary that contains all the times when the dress is worn. Sometimes the young lady dresses, uses the dress, and then the thoughts and the personal reflections that she has when she is using the dress at special events. Actually, she's a member of an international society of preservation of historic costumes. So they have meetings, sometimes in Scandinavia, sometimes in Germany, sometimes in Italy, and she goes there, she brings her dress, and she and her sister help her to dress, and this is a diary. And assuming that we want to create a kind of diary, they found the best way to use a tablet. So they use, let me say, a small device with a screen, and because they said, actually we would like to make it look like a diary. And maybe a smartphone is too small for a diary, and the laptop could be too heavy for a diary, so let's make a tablet. Fine. And so they decided the whole of the whole design is, there will be pictures of Margherita Scanu, for which the dress was created, and Margherita Casu, my student, who is currently using the dress. Right? So they said the homepage is, and also we find at the bottom of the right is the logo that is repeated. So they really designed a way to recognize the pages of this, let me say, website running on a tablet. And they decided there will be 3 things: history of the dress, diary of the person using the dress, and description of the dress. So this is what it looks like. So this is the first lady for which the dress was made, a very old picture. This is my student. This is their logo. It's just part of the dress. The dress contains like 8 pieces and some jewelry. So it's a box full of things. And you could log in. Why could you log in? Because the diary is very personal, right? And you can find the history of the dress from its origin, when it was sewn in 1890 about. And the diary of this young lady who is using the dress 1 or 2 times a year when there are special events, and a description of all the details of the dress, the technical details. Right? So, the history, clicking on the history section, you will find a homepage that shows you the family tree. And to view the history of the dress, you could click on the names in the family tree as far as highlighted and find out about these people. So this is the family tree, and you can see this is the first lady who wore the dress. Her mother built the dress, sewed the dress, and then it was inherited, and it was inherited by a young girl who lived less than 1 year, so she would never use the dress, and then the dress had no owner for some time. And here is the end, is my student and her sister. Right? So, and you can click on these people and find out. Like, you can click on this one and you find out a story about what we know about this person in her relation to the dress. And you can click on another one and you find out a story of this young lady that only lived for a couple of months, right? So it's all part of the history of this cultural heritage artifact. And then here, this is the current owner, what happened to her. So you can see all these kind of things, all of that is part of the history. Oh, sorry, this is the current owner, I was stupid. And then the diary. If you click on the diary section, you will find a timeline, and in the timeline there are dates when the dress was used at a certain moment. Starting from 2001, when my student inherited the dress from her aunt, right? And then you can click and you will find a drop-down menu of events. So this is the timeline. So this is when the dress was made, this is when my student received the dress, and these are the events. And you can go to an event and find out. So she was in Denmark using the dress, and you could find even more information about what happens. And you can see here that her sister is helping her to put on the dress, and then they meet, and well, and so on. So this is just the entry of 2007. And this obviously is very private. So you shouldn't read it. Okay. So by clicking on the section descriptions, you open another part of this website where you can find all the details of the dress, right? And you can find what? The Sardinian name for the different parts of the dress, the shirt and the bracelet and stuff. So now this is the description. So there's jewelry connected, and there's a scarf and many things. It's a box full of stuff. And here you can see like the jacket. So this is, if you click on the jacket, you get descriptions of details of the jacket. And that's the end of my student's presentation. It shows a design for young women, young students in Italy, who designed an application for one cultural heritage object. Well, actually the object is a box full of elements of the dress, including the history, including the diary of the current temporary owner, and this young girl definitely intends to hand over the dress when she is older to another young girl in the family to take over the dress. And by the way, in the history you also find out that sometimes the dress needed to be repaired. And at a certain moment, Italian girls grew larger and larger during the generation. So the first girls were this size, but now they are bigger. So they had to actually prolong the dress, make it longer to still be able to be used. Which is an interesting question on cultural heritage. Should you change it to adapt to modern use, right? And they all documented it.